I died for 11 days. When I came back, my wife had already moved on with my best friend, my business, and my daughter's future. The beeping woke me first, sharp, mechanical. Then the lights, too bright, hospital fluorescent white burning through my eyelids. My throat felt like I'd swallowed glass. There was a tube. Panic hit before memory did. "Mr. Carter, Michael, can you hear me?" A woman's voice. Clinical. I tried to nod. My body didn't respond the way it should. Everything felt disconnected, like I was piloting a machine I'd forgotten how to operate. "Don't try to move yet. You've been in a medically induced coma for 11 days. You were in a car accident, a drunk driver. Do you remember?" Flashes, headlights, the sound of metal tearing. Then nothing. I managed a sound, not quite a word. "Good, that's good. I'm Dr. Patricia Hughes. You're in the ICU at Hartford General. You're going to be okay, but recovery will take time." My hand moved to my face. The tube. I needed it out. "I know. We'll remove it soon. First, I need to check your responses." She ran through tests, squeeze her hand, follow the light, blink twice. My body obeyed slowly, reluctantly. Through it all, one thought pushed through the fog. "Where's Rebecca?" "Your father has been here every day," Dr. Hughes said, reading my mind, or maybe reading the question everyone asks. 7 a.m. to visiting hour close. Your daughter came twice with him. Sweet girl." She paused. The pause was too long. "Your wife," I tried to speak, managed a rasp. "She's been here," Dr. Hughes said, her voice changed, flatter. "She's been notified you're awake. I'm sure she'll be by soon." Something in her tone made my chest tighten. Over the next 2 hours, they removed the tube. I coughed until I tasted blood, drank water that felt like swallowing razors. A nurse, younger, nervous, helped me sit up. The room spun. "How many times?" I croaked. My voice didn't sound like mine. "I'm sorry." "How many times did my wife visit?" The nurse's eyes flicked to Dr. Hughes, who had just walked back in. "Mr. Carter, you should focus on—" "How many times?" Dr. Hughes crossed her arms. She looked at me for a long moment, like she was deciding something. "Nurse, could you bring the visitor log, please?" The younger woman hesitated, then left. When she returned, she was holding a blue spiral-bound notebook. Hospital policy required sign-in for ICU visitors. She handed it to Dr. Hughes, who placed it on my lap. "Page 43. I opened it with shaking hands. The pages were yellowed, well used. Other patients' pages were full, multiple signatures per day, family members camping out in shifts. I found page 43, ICU Ward 3, patient Michael Carter, room 347. The page was nearly empty. My father's signature appeared every single day. James Carter, 7 a.m. arrival. The timeout column was always past 8 p.m. 11 days of him sitting by my bed. Rebecca's name appeared 4 times. 4 visits in 11 days. Average visit length, 23 minutes. My vision blurred. I counted again, certain I'd made a mistake. 4. The visits were spread out. Day 2, day 4, day 7, day 11, the day I woke up. Mr. Carter, another name caught my eye. David Preston, family friend. He'd signed in 12 times, more than my wife. David, who I'd known since college. David, who'd been my best man. David, my business partner. Why had David visited more than my own wife? Dr. Hughes took the log back gently. Sometimes people handle crisis differently. Some can't cope with seeing loved ones in medical distress. Her voice said the words. Her eyes said something else. What time is it? 2:30 p.m. Has she called since you told her I woke up? The pause answered before Dr. Hughes did. Not yet, but I'm sure. Thank you, doctor. She left. I sat alone in a room that smelled like disinfectant and the particular staleness of places where people fight to stay alive. Through the window, I could see the parking lot, normal people living normal days. I'd been gone for 11 days, and the world had kept turning. Without me. My phone was in the small cupboard by the bed. Dad must have brought it. I reached for it, but my hand shook too much. I'd try later. First, I needed to understand why my wife visited 4 times, while my best friend visited 12. The door opened. For a second, I thought it would be Rebecca. It was my father. "Michael." His voice cracked. James Carter, retired attorney, 6'2", never cried, had tears running down his face. "Jesus Christ, son, you're awake." He crossed the room in 3 strides and grabbed me in a hug that made my ribs scream. I didn't care. "Dad!" "Don't you ever do that again. 11 days, 11 goddamn days." When he pulled back, his hands were on my shoulders, studying my face like he was memorizing it. "Where's Rebecca?" I asked. His expression shifted. Not surprise, something else, something that looked like anger. "I called her 2 hours ago, when Dr. Hughes told me you were awake." "And?" "She said she had a showing, a property she couldn't reschedule." The words landed wrong, heavy. A showing. I'd been in a coma for 11 days, woken up, and my wife had a real estate showing she couldn't reschedule. "Dad, she'll be here," he said quickly, too quickly. "Emma wanted to come straight from school, but Rebecca said she'd bring her after the showing. They'll be here by 4. 4 o'clock, an hour and a half from now. I'd been unconscious for 264 hours, and my wife needed 90 more minutes. "The visitor log," I said. Dad's jaw tightened. He knew I'd seen it. "Everyone handles fear differently, Michael. Some people..." "David visited 12 times. The sentence hung between us. Dad's hands dropped from my shoulders. "Yeah, he did." "Why?" "He said he felt responsible, since you were coming from the office when it happened. Said he needed to be here." I searched my father's face. He was holding something back. "What aren't you telling me?" He sat down heavily in the chair beside my bed, the chair he'd sat in for 11 days. "Nothing, just focus on getting better. Everything else can wait." But his eyes kept darting to the door, like he was afraid someone might walk in, like he was protecting me from something. My body was exhausted, but my mind was waking up fast. 4 visits, 12 visits, a showing that couldn't be rescheduled. Dr. Hughes's tone, my father's evasion, something was very, very wrong. Emma arrived at 4:17 p.m. I heard her before I saw her, her voice in the hallway, high and excited. Then she burst through the door, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. "Daddy!" She was across the room in a flash. 7 years old, dark hair and pigtails, wearing her purple unicorn backpack. She climbed onto the bed, carefully, like she was afraid I might break. "Hi, baby girl." "You woke up. Mommy said you were sleeping for a really long time, and I was scared you wouldn't wake up. But Grandpa said you would, and you did." The words tumbled out in one breath. I wrapped my arms around her, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo. This was real. "I'm awake. I'm right here." Rebecca appeared in the doorway. She looked perfect. Hairstyled, makeup done, wearing the navy dress she wore for showings. Professional. Put together. Her eyes met mine, and for just a second something flashed across her face. Not relief, not joy, fear. "Michael." She stepped into the room, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Thank God. We've been so worried." She came to the bed, leaned down, kissed my forehead. Her lips were cold. Her perfume was different, something I didn't recognize. "How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck." "You basically did." Her laugh was too bright. "The doctor said you're lucky to be alive." Emma was showing me drawings she'd made, crayon pictures of our family, me in a hospital bed with stick-figure doctors, her and Rebecca at home. One drawing had 3 figures, Emma, Rebecca, and... "Who's this?" I pointed to the tall figure next to Rebecca. "That's Uncle David. He came over a lot while you were sleeping. He helped Mommy with stuff." Rebecca's hand shot out, taking the drawing. Emma, honey, Daddy doesn't need to see all your schoolwork right now. He's tired. But I'd already seen it. The three figures, Emma's innocent crayon depiction of who had been in our house while I was in a coma. I brought you something, Daddy. Emma dug in her purple backpack, pulling out her iPad. The case was worn, covered in unicorn stickers. You can watch videos on it, and I made voice memos for you when you were sleeping so you could hear my voice. She pressed it into my hands, her eyes bright with pride. That's so sweet, baby. Thank you. I made lots of them, like every day almost. Mommy didn't know. She giggled like it was a secret. Rebecca's face had gone white. Emma, we should let Daddy rest. Can we stay a little bit, Mommy, please? We have to get home. You have homework. But Daddy just woke up. Emma. Rebecca's voice had an edge I'd never heard her use with our daughter. Now. Emma's face fell. I pulled her close. It's okay, sweetheart. I'll be home soon. Come visit tomorrow? Okay. She hugged me tight. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, more than anything. Rebecca was already gathering Emma's things, putting drawings back in the backpack. She wouldn't look at me directly. Rebecca. Can we talk, just for a minute? I really need to get Emma home. We'll talk tomorrow. Get some rest. She was at the door. Emma turned back, waving. Watch the voice memos, Daddy. I made them for you when you were sleeping. Rebecca's hand tightened on Emma's shoulder. She pulled our daughter toward the hallway. Fast. Rebecca. The door closed. I sat there holding Emma's iPad, staring at the space where my wife had been. She'd stayed less than 10 minutes. 4 visits in 11 days, and now, when I was awake and alive, she couldn't get out fast enough. As Rebecca pulled Emma toward the door, my daughter turned back one last time. Daddy, watch the voice memos. I made them for you when you were sleeping. Rebecca's face went white. I waited until midnight. The ICU was quieter then. Night shift nurses checking vitals every few hours, but mostly leaving me alone. My body ached everywhere, but the pain was sharpening my mind, burning away the fog. Emma's iPad sat on the tray beside my bed. Purple case, unicorn stickers peeling at the edges. There was a crack in the screen from when she dropped it last summer. I remembered her crying, and me telling her it still worked fine. The crack just gave it character. I unlocked it. Her passcode was 1234. I'd been meaning to teach her about better security. The home screen was a photo of the 3 of us at the beach last summer. We looked happy. We'd been happy, hadn't we? I opened the Voice Memos app. 11 recordings. 1 for almost every day I'd been in the coma. My thumb hovered over the first one. Something in my chest tightened. Warning bells I didn't understand yet. I pressed play. Emma's voice, small and far away. October 7th. Hi, Daddy. Mommy said you can't hear me, but I think you can. Even in heaven you can hear people. I miss you. Grandpa says you're just sleeping, but Mommy keeps crying. Uncle David came over again. He brought pizza. Love you, Daddy. The recording ended. 32 seconds, October 7th, day 4 of the coma. I'd been unconscious, fighting for my life, and David had been at my house, bringing pizza. I pressed play on the second memo. October 8th, Daddy, I drew you a picture at school. It's you and me and Mommy. But Mommy said you're going to heaven soon, so I put you in the clouds. Don't be mad. I didn't want to, but she said, Oh, Mommy's calling me. Love you. My hands started shaking. Memo 3. October 9th. Uncle David is here again. He's in the living room with Mommy. They're talking quiet. I'm supposed to be in bed, but I heard Mommy crying. Uncle David said, he might not wake up, Rebecca. We need to move forward with our plans. The room felt too hot. The beeping of my heart monitor was too loud. I pressed play on Memo 4. Emma's voice. October 10th. Mommy is crying a lot. Uncle David says everything will be okay soon. October 10th. That was the day Dr. Hughes told my father there was less than a 15% chance I'd survive. The day they'd called in a priest, just in case. Everything will be okay soon. I skipped ahead to memo 9. My fingers were numb. Emma's breathing, close to the microphone, then voices in the background. Rebecca's voice, but I had to strain to hear it. Once the life insurance policy clears, we can put the down payment on the Portland house. 2, maybe 3 weeks after the funeral. Another voice, male, David. What if he wakes up? Rebecca's laugh was bitter. Dr. Hughes said there's less than 15% chance. David, we've waited long enough. I can't keep pretending. The memo ended. I sat there. The iPad screen went dark. My reflection stared back at me in the black glass. Hospital gown, hollow eyes, 11 days thinner. My wife had been planning my funeral with my best friend. While I was fighting to survive, they were planning the Portland house, life insurance, after the funeral. I pressed play on memo 11, the last one, recorded this morning. Emma's voice, excited. Daddy's eyes opened. The doctor just told Grandpa. Mommy's here and she looks scared. Uncle David left really fast when the doctor said you were waking up. He didn't even say bye. Mommy's on the phone now. She's talking really quiet. I'm going to stop recording because, oh, Daddy, I have to go. Mommy says we have to leave. I love you. They'd been waiting for me to die. My wife and my best friend had been waiting for me to die. I looked down at my left hand. My wedding ring was still there. White gold, slightly scratched from 9 years of wear. Inside it was engraved, M+R forever 2014, for better or worse, in sickness and in health. The nurse came in for vitals check. I pretended to be asleep, iPad hidden under the blanket. She checked my monitors, adjusted my IV, and left. I waited until her footsteps faded. Then I pressed play on memo 5. Emma's voice. October 11th. Mommy and Uncle David are in the kitchen. They don't know I'm recording. Uncle David just kissed Mommy. Like how you kiss Mommy, Daddy. Is that okay? I don't think it's okay, but Mommy's smiling. I closed my eyes, breathed through my nose. The heart monitor was beeping faster. I needed to stay calm. Couldn't let the nurses know. There were 6 more memos. I listened to them all. By the time I finished, the sky outside was turning gray with dawn, and I knew 3 things with absolute certainty. My wife had been having an affair with my best friend for at least 14 months. They'd been planning a life together, starting with the life insurance money from my death. And Emma, my 7-year-old daughter, had unknowingly recorded evidence of everything. If you've ever noticed something wrong in someone's eyes, that moment when you just knew, you understand what I felt in that hospital room. Not quite grief yet, not quite anger, something colder, clearer. The clarity of someone who just watched their entire life revealed as a lie. The sun was rising when Dr. Hughes came in for morning rounds. You're awake early. Couldn't sleep. She checked my charts, her movements efficient. When she was done, she paused. Mr. Carter, I want to say something and I'm probably overstepping. I looked at her. I've been a doctor for 28 years. I've seen a lot of spouses wait by bedsides. I've seen grief, real grief. She met my eyes. Your wife. What she showed wasn't grief. What was it? Impatience. She set down my chart. I can't say more than that, but trust your instincts and document everything. She left before I could respond. Document everything. I looked at Emma's iPad, still in my hands. Already done, doctor. Rebecca came back that afternoon, alone this time. She'd changed clothes, jeans and a sweater, more casual. Her hair was down. She was trying to look like the woman I'd married. Hi. She sat in the chair beside my bed. How are you feeling? Better, sore. I'm sorry I had to rush out yesterday. Emma had homework and I didn't want to overwhelm you. Where's your ring? The question cut through her explanation. She froze. What? I gestured to her left hand. Her ring finger was bare. Your wedding ring. Where is it? She looked down at her hand like she'd just noticed. Oh, I took it off, for safety. You know how hospitals are. I didn't want to lose it. It's at home. The lie was smooth, practiced. How many times had she rehearsed it? You took it off when? When you were first admitted. In the chaos of everything, I thought it was safer. 11 days ago. Michael, I don't understand why. You haven't been wearing your wedding ring for 11 days, while I was in a coma. Her face flushed. I just explained. Dr. Hughes said you've been here 4 times. Silence. 4 times in 11 days, Rebecca. I couldn't handle seeing you like that. Do you understand how hard it was? Seeing you with all those tubes, not knowing if you'd wake up? David was here 12 times. Her face went pale. He felt responsible, she said quickly. He was the last person you'd talked to before the accident. He needed to be here. Why did he need to be here more than you? Michael. The door opened. Dr. Hughes stepped in, took one look at us, and started to back out. Sorry, I can come back. No, it's fine, Rebecca said, standing. She touched my arm. I should go anyway. Let you rest. I'll bring Emma tomorrow. She was at the door in seconds. Dr. Hughes watched her go, then looked at me. Mr. Carter. She wasn't wearing her ring. Dr. Hughes said nothing, but I saw something flash across her face, understanding. She came to my bedside, checking my vitals in silence. When she was done, she spoke quietly. I can't tell you what to think or feel, but I can tell you what I observed. She glanced at the door, making sure we were alone. Your wife visited 4 times. Each visit lasted less than 30 minutes. She spent more time in the hallway on her phone than at your bedside. My chest tightened. On day 7, she brought a man with her. Not family, I checked. He stayed outside in the waiting area, but they left together. What did he look like? Tall, early 40s, dark hair. David. On day 10, Dr. Hughes continued, her voice careful. I overheard her on the phone in the hallway. She was discussing real estate, a property she wanted to list quickly. She said, we need to move fast before... And then she saw me and stopped talking. The machines around me beeped steadily. My heart rate was climbing. Dr. Hughes, I need to know, what were my chances of surviving? She hesitated. Be honest, please. Day 3 to day 10, less than 15%. You had severe internal injuries, brain swelling, multiple fractures. We had you in a medically induced coma because your body needed to heal without the stress of consciousness. She paused. I told your family that most patients in your condition don't wake up. You told Rebecca I was probably going to die. I told your family to prepare for any outcome. Yes. The picture was getting clearer, sharper. Dr. Hughes stopped in the hallway. I heard her voice, cold and clear. Mrs. Carter, I've been a doctor for 28 years. I know what a grieving spouse looks like. You're not one. I waited until evening to call David. My hand shook as I dialed. He answered on the 3rd ring. Mike. Jesus, I heard you were awake. How are you, man? His voice was warm, concerned, the voice of my best friend of 15 years. Been better, been worse. I can't believe it. When I heard about the accident, I thought... He stopped. I'm just glad you're okay. Thanks for visiting. I heard you came by a lot. Silence, just a beat too long. Yeah, of course. I felt terrible. You were leaving the office when it happened. If I'd just let you leave 5 minutes earlier... It's not your fault. Still, I needed to be there, for you, for Rebecca and Emma. There it was, her name, too familiar. How are they doing? Rebecca's. She's been strong, trying to hold it together for Emma. It's been hard on her. I'm sure. In the background, I heard a woman's voice, muffled, then David. I gotta go, but hey, I'll come by tomorrow. We'll catch up properly. David. Yeah? I almost asked him, almost said it. Are you sleeping with my wife? But something stopped me. Some instinct that said I needed more. I needed proof so airtight that he couldn't lie his way out. Thanks for being there for them. Always, man. That's what brothers do. Brothers. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone. The hospital room was too quiet. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to settings. Found the call log request feature. Hospital phones could request their records, something about patient rights and communication access. I submitted the request. It would take 24 hours, but I already knew what it would show. My father came at 7 a.m. the next morning, like he had every day for 11 days. "You look better," he said, setting down coffee and what looked like clean clothes. "Got some color back." "Dad, I need to ask you something." He sat down, his lawyer face sliding into place, the one that meant he was ready to hear hard things. "How often was David at the house while I was in the coma?" Dad's jaw tightened. "Why?" "Just answer." "I don't know exactly. I wasn't tracking." "Dad." He sighed. "He was there when I dropped Emma off a few times. Rebecca said he was helping with things around the house, stuff you usually take care of." "Like what?" "Lawn, some repair work. She said it was easier than hiring someone." I nodded slowly. "Anything else I should know?" Dad looked at me for a long time. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a manila folder. "I wasn't sure if I should show you this yet. You're still recovering, and I didn't want to stress." "Show me." He opened the folder. Inside was a real estate listing contract. Our house, 123 Maple Street, Hartford, Connecticut. Listed price, $847,000. Date listed October 15th. October 15th, day 8 of my coma. 3 days after the doctor said I probably wouldn't wake up. My hands were shaking as I took the papers. "I found this by accident," Dad said quietly. "I went by the house to get some of Emma's things. There was a lockbox on the door, a realtor's lockbox. The listing agent was Sandra Mitchell, Rebecca's colleague from the real estate office. Under seller, it had both our names, Rebecca Carter, Michael Carter. I looked at the signature line. Rebecca had signed, and someone had signed my name too. The signature was close, but wrong. The M was too loopy. The R in Carter angled differently than I wrote it. "She forged your power of attorney," Dad said. "I checked with your lawyer. You never signed one." I stared at the papers. Our home, where Emma had taken her first steps, where we'd painted the nursery blue when we found out we were having a girl, then painted it purple because Rebecca said Emma deserved whatever color she wanted. Rebecca was selling our daughter's home while I was unconscious, for a down payment on a house in Portland with David. "Dad," I said, and my voice sounded strange even to me, calm, flat. "I need you to do something for me." "Anything." "Don't tell Rebecca I know. Not yet. Not about any of this." He studied my face. "What are you planning?" "I'm going to let her think she's winning." "Michael." "Until she loses everything." Dad was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. The lawyer in him understood. "What do you need?" I looked down at the listing contract, at Emma's iPad on the tray beside me, at my wedding ring, still on my finger, even though my wife's was in David's glove compartment. "I need you to document everything, every call, every visit, every piece of paper. We're going to build a case so airtight that when this goes to court, and it will go to court, there won't be any question about what happened." "You're talking about divorce." "I'm talking about custody. I'm talking about making sure Emma doesn't grow up thinking it's okay to do what her mother did." I looked at my father. "You taught me something when I was a kid. You said revenge is letting someone live rent-free in your head. Justice is evicting them with the truth." Dad's eyes were wet. "I did say that." "Well," I held up the listing contract. "It's time for an eviction. For better or worse, in sickness and in health. Isn't that what we promised?" That's what I kept thinking, staring at those papers. I'd kept my promise. I'd almost died, and my wedding ring never left my finger. But Rebecca? She'd taken hers off before I was even cold. I spent the next 3 days listening to Emma's voice memos on a loop. The doctors wanted to keep me for observation. Internal injuries, they said. Risk of complications. But I knew the real reason I stayed. I needed time to think, time to plan, time to understand exactly how deep the betrayal went. The hospital call log came back on day 14. The nurse brought it with my breakfast, a manila envelope marked Patient Communications Record. I waited until she left before opening it. 3 pages, single-spaced. Every call made from my room phone during the 11 days I was unconscious. My father had called my office, my insurance company, the mechanic about my totaled car. Normal things, but there was another number that appeared 47 times. David's cell phone. Rebecca had called him 47 times from my hospital room. Some calls lasted seconds, probably voicemails. Others went on for 8, 12, 15 minutes. I cross-referenced the dates with Emma's voice memos. October 8th, day 5 of the coma. Rebecca called David at 2:47 p.m. The call lasted 9 minutes. That evening, Emma recorded Memo 3. Uncle David is here again. They're talking quiet. October 10th, day 7. Rebecca called David 4 times between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Emma's memo from that night: Mommy is crying a lot. Uncle David says everything will be okay soon. October 15th, day 10. 3 calls to David. Total time, 42 minutes. The day she listed our house for sale. Not once did the call log show 911. When I was hit by that drunk driver when I was bleeding out on the side of Route 44, Rebecca didn't call 911 first. She called David. The nurse at the accident scene had told my father, someone called it in from a passing car. The victim's phone wasn't used. Rebecca had been with me. She'd been in the passenger seat. And her first call wasn't to emergency services. I stared at the phone log until the numbers blurred. Then I did something I should have done days ago. I called my bank. Hartford First National, this is Jennifer. How can I help you? Hi, this is Michael Carter. Account number 47829163. I need to request statements for the past 3 months. Of course, Mr. Carter. For security purposes, can you verify your address and date of birth? I gave her the information, waited while she typed. Okay, I'm showing joint account with Rebecca Carter. Is that correct? Yes. I can email those statements to the address we have on file. Is that still Michael Carter? Actually, can you mail them to my father's address? I gave her Dad's office. And Jennifer, one more thing. Has there been any unusual activity on the account? Large withdrawals, transfers? Pause. Typing. Mr. Carter, I'm seeing several large transactions in the past 2 weeks. Would you like me to flag these for review? My stomach dropped. What kind of transactions? I can't give specifics over the phone for security reasons, but there are multiple transfers to an external account. The largest was on October 15th for $87,000. October 15th, the day the house was listed. How much total? In the past 14 days, approximately $110,000 moved from your joint account. The room tilted. Mr. Carter, are you still there? Yes. Mail those statements today if possible. Of course. Is there anything else? One more thing. Has a new account been opened in my name recently? More typing. No, sir, but I do show a new joint account opened on October 2nd. Rebecca Carter and David Preston. There it was. My wife had opened a joint account with my best friend 8 days before my accident. Thank you, Jennifer. I hung up, sat there in my hospital bed, staring at nothing. $110,000. That was our savings. Emma's college fund. The money we'd put away for emergencies, for the future, for the life they were planning without me. Dad arrived an hour later with a banker's box. You said to document everything. He set it on the tray table. So I did. Inside were folders, organized, labeled, color-coded. This was James Carter in full attorney mode. Bank statements, I had them expedited. He pulled out the first folder. Rebecca transferred $87,000 on October 15th, another $12,000 on the 8th, $23,000 cash withdrawal on the 16th. He spread the statements across my lap, yellow highlighter marking each transaction. This withdrawal. He pointed to the $23,000. That's the same day she opened a joint account with David Preston. I confirmed with the bank. The money went straight from your account to theirs. I traced the numbers with my finger. Years of savings. Gone. There's more. Dad pulled out another folder. I hired a private investigator, former detective, very discreet. He's been watching Rebecca for the past 3 days. He handed me a photo. Rebecca and David at a coffee shop. Not touching, but sitting close. Too close for friends. Another photo. The two of them outside a house with a for sale sign. Coastal property. The Portland house, I realized. He followed them yesterday. They drove up to Portland, Maine, looked at 3 properties. This one, he tapped the photo. They spent an hour inside, came out holding hands. My chest felt tight. The realtor confirmed they put in an offer, contingent on financing. They told her they were engaged. Engaged. I was still in the hospital, still wearing my wedding ring, still legally married, and my wife was engaged to my best friend. Michael, what else? Dad hesitated, then pulled out a rental agreement. Beach condo, Old Orchard Beach, Maine, 2-bedroom, lease signed by Rebecca Carter and David Preston. Move-in date was October 20th. I did the math. October 20th was 3 days after the doctor said I probably wouldn't survive. 3 days after my expected death, they had a condo ready to go. If you've ever had to choose between forgiveness and boundaries, comment boundaries below. Because that's the choice I faced. My wife hadn't just betrayed me, she'd planned for my death, budgeted for it, rented a celebration condo for it. Some people can forgive that. I'm not one of them. There's one more thing. Dad's voice was gentle, careful. The PI did a deeper background check on their relationship. Credit card statements, social media, phone records, all legally obtained. He pulled out a timeline, printed on legal paper, dates going back 14 months. The affair started in August of last year. Confirmed hotel stays, restaurants, a weekend trip to Boston they took together while you thought Rebecca was at a real estate conference. 14 months. I'd suspected weeks, maybe a few months, but 14 months meant anniversaries, holidays, Emma's 7th birthday party where David had showed up with the biggest present. 14 months meant I'd been living a lie for over a year. I'm sorry, son. I looked at the timeline. August. That was when Rebecca had started working late. When she'd joined a gym she went to 3 times a week. When she'd started wearing perfume I didn't recognize. All those nights I'd trusted her. All those times I'd said, I'm glad you're taking time for yourself, honey. She'd been taking time for David. Get me out of here, I said. What? I need to go home. Today. Michael, the doctors said at least another week. I don't care. I need to see my house. I need to see what else she's done. Dad studied my face, then nodded. I'll talk to Dr. Hughes. They discharged me that afternoon against medical advice. Dr. Hughes made me sign forms, gave me prescriptions, told me I was an idiot for leaving early. You could have complications, bleeding, infection. You need to be monitored. I need to protect my daughter. She stopped mid-lecture, looked at me, really looked at me. What did you find? I didn't answer, didn't need to. She saw it in my face. Mr. Carter, I need to give you something. She pulled out her phone, typed quickly. That's my personal email. If you need a statement from me about your wife's behavior, her visits, anything I observed, I'll provide it, officially. Why would you do that? Because I have a daughter. She met my eyes. And if someone did to me what your wife did to you, I'd want every piece of evidence I could get to make sure my daughter stayed safe. She wrote something on her prescription pad, tore it off, handed it to me. It wasn't a prescription. It was her direct phone number. And underneath, document everything. Protect that little girl. Dad drove me home in silence. Our house looked exactly the same. 2-story colonial, blue shutters, Emma's bike on the front lawn, normal, perfect. The lockbox was gone from the door. She must have taken it down when she heard you were coming home, Dad said. I used my key. The door stuck, it always did, needed WD-40 on the hinges. I'd been meaning to fix that. Inside, everything was clean. Too clean. The kind of clean that happens when someone's hiding something. Rebecca's car wasn't in the driveway. She was at work. Emma was at school. I had the house to myself. What are we looking for? Dad asked. Anything she doesn't want me to find. We started in the bedroom. Her jewelry box was on the dresser. I opened it. Necklaces, bracelets, earrings, no wedding ring. I checked her nightstand drawer. Books, reading glasses, hand lotion. In the back, underneath a stack of magazines, I found a card. Plain white envelope. Rebecca's name and handwriting I recognized. David's handwriting. I opened it. Rebecca, 1 year. 365 days of stolen moments, secret smiles, and a love I never knew I was capable of. I know this isn't easy. I know you're waiting for the right time. But every day I wake up without you is a day wasted. When this is over, when you're finally free, we'll have everything we've dreamed about. Portland, the house by the water, mornings where we don't have to hide. I love you. I'm not going anywhere. Yours, D. The card was dated August 14th this year, their 1-year anniversary. 1 year of this, 1 year of when you're finally free. I handed the card to Dad. He read it, his face going hard. That's evidence of premeditation. For what? For a divorce where you get everything. He pulled out his phone, photographing the card. This shows long-term affair, financial planning, waiting for freedom. In Connecticut, that matters for custody and asset division. I kept searching. In Rebecca's closet, hidden in a shoebox behind winter boots, I found receipts. Hotels, restaurants in Portland, a jewelry store receipt for 2 matching bands. $3,400. They'd bought wedding rings while I still had mine on. Dad photographed everything, methodical, professional. Every receipt, every card, every piece of evidence that my marriage had been over for 14 months and I'd been the only one who didn't know. My phone buzzed. Text from Rebecca. Heard you checked yourself out. That was stupid. Coming home with Emma at 4. Please rest. We need to talk. We need to talk. I looked around our bedroom, at the card, the receipts, the empty spot in her jewelry box where her wedding ring should have been. Sounds good, I texted back. See you then. Emma burst through the door at 4:07, backpack bouncing. Daddy, you're home. I was sitting on the couch right where Rebecca would expect me. Weak, recovering, harmless. Emma climbed into my lap carefully like I might break. How was school? Good. We learned about fractions, and I got a gold star on my reading test. She dug in her backpack, pulling out papers. Look. I looked at her schoolwork, praised her reading, listened to her story about recess, normal dad things, but over her head I watched Rebecca. She'd stopped in the doorway, watching us. Her expression was strange. Guilty? Afraid? I couldn't tell. Emma, honey, go wash up for dinner, Rebecca said. Can Daddy eat with us? Of course. Go on. Emma skipped off to the bathroom. The moment she was gone, Rebecca's face changed. The mask dropped. We need to talk. You said that. She sat in the chair across from me. Not next to me, not touching. The doctor said you left against medical advice. That was irresponsible. I wanted to come home. You could have complications. You should have stayed. Where's your ring, Rebecca? She froze. I asked you at the hospital. You said it was here, at home, for safety. I leaned forward. My ribs screamed, but I didn't care. So where is it? I, I'm not sure. I'll look for it. Don't lie to me. Her eyes flashed. Excuse me? I said don't lie to me. Not anymore. Silence. Emma's voice drifted from upstairs, singing to herself. Rebecca's hands were shaking. I don't know what you think is happening. I think you took your wedding ring off while I was in a coma. I think you were at the hospital 4 times in 11 days. I think David was there 12 times, and I think... I pulled out my phone, opened the call log. You called him 47 times from my hospital room. The color drained from her face. Michael, I'm not done. I think you listed our house for sale on day 8 of my coma. I think you transferred $110,000 out of our joint account. And I think you and David put an offer on a house in Portland. I met her eyes. How am I doing so far? She stood up. I need to check on Emma. Sit down. My voice was quiet, calm, but something in it made her sit. You don't get to run away this time. You don't get to avoid this conversation. You're upset. You just woke up. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking very clearly, clearer than I have in 14 months. Her eyes widened. Got it. She knew I knew the timeline. Emma's voice memos, I said. Every day I was unconscious. She recorded them on her iPad. Sweet kid. She thought I could hear them in heaven. Rebecca's face went white. Want to know what else I heard? You and David planning, discussing life insurance, talking about Portland, waiting for me to die so you could finally be free. We weren't. You kissed him in our kitchen while I was in a coma. Our daughter recorded it. She couldn't speak, just stared at me. Emma's footsteps on the stairs. Rebecca's face shifted instantly, the mask back on. Daddy, I'm hungry. Let's order pizza, I said, not taking my eyes off Rebecca. What do you think, honey? Should we call Uncle David? See if he wants to join us? Rebecca's eyes were full of tears, but not regret. Fear. She was afraid because she'd been caught. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, I'll call him now. David answered on the second ring. Hey, Mike. Come over, now. Pause. What? Rebecca and I are having dinner with Emma. Family dinner. Your family, right? That's what you said. Brothers. I could hear him breathing, processing. I don't think tonight's a good... Wasn't a request, David. Be here in 20 minutes, or I call your wife and tell her about the joint bank account. He hung up. Rebecca was standing now. Michael, please. Sit down. Eat dinner with your daughter. Act normal. Because if Emma suspects anything, if she gets scared or upset... I looked at her. Everything I've been holding back, I'll say out loud, right now, in front of her, your choice. Rebecca sat. We ordered pizza, set the table. Emma chatted about school, oblivious. Rebecca pushed food around her plate, not eating. The doorbell rang at exactly 4:27. I'll get it. Emma jumped up. Emma, wait, Rebecca started, but Emma was already opening the door. Uncle David. David stepped inside. He looked from me to Rebecca, trying to read the situation. Hey, kiddo? He ruffled Emma's hair, but his eyes never left mine. I didn't know you were coming over. Emma grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the kitchen. We got pizza. Actually, I said, standing slowly, Uncle David and I need to talk. Grown-up stuff. Emma, can you go play in your room for a few minutes? But now, sweetheart, take your pizza with you. Something in my voice made her obey. She grabbed 2 slices and headed upstairs. The moment her door closed, I turned to David. Sit. Mike, listen. I said sit. He sat. Rebecca was crying silently now, hands over her face. I pulled out my phone, set it on the table, pressed play. Emma's voice filled the kitchen. Uncle David is here again. He's in the living room with Mommy. They're talking quiet. I'm supposed to be in bed, but I heard Mommy crying. Uncle David said, he might not wake up, Rebecca. We need to move forward with our plans. David's face went gray. I pressed play on another memo. Emma, Uncle David just kissed Mommy. Like how you kiss mommy, Daddy. David stood up. I can explain. Sit down. Mike, it's not what you think. You think I'm going to hit you. I stayed seated, calm. That's what you're afraid of, that I'm going to lose it, break your jaw, but I'm not. I pulled a small device from my pocket, set it on the table. This is a voice recorder. It's been running since you walked in. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me everything. The truth. All of it. How long. How it started. What you were planning. I don't have to tell you anything. David. I leaned forward. I'm going to get a lawyer. I'm going to file for divorce. I'm going to fight for full custody of Emma. And when we go to court, and we will go to court, every judge, every lawyer, every witness is going to hear my 7-year-old daughter's voice describing how you moved into my life while I was dying. His face crumbled. So you can tell me now on your own terms, with some dignity left, or you can wait for your deposition, where my father's lawyer friends will tear you apart piece by piece in front of a court reporter. I paused. Your choice. Silence. Rebecca was shaking. Then David spoke. 14 months. It started 14 months ago. Rebecca made a sound, almost a sob. We didn't plan it. We were working late at your office, setting up the new client management system. Rebecca brought dinner. We started talking, really talking about life. About me. I finished. He nodded, couldn't look at me. She said you'd grown distant, that you worked all the time, that she felt alone. So you decided to fix that by sleeping with her. It wasn't like that at first. It was just connection. Someone who listened. Then one night He stopped. Go on. I kissed her in my car after drinks. She kissed me back. Rebecca was sobbing now, full, ugly, crying. When did you start planning the future? About 6 months ago. Rebecca said she wanted to leave, but couldn't because of Emma, because of money. We talked about waiting until Emma was older, until I died. The words hung in the air. David's voice was barely a whisper. The accident, when Rebecca called me from the scene, when she said you might not make it, you thought God was doing you a favor. He flinched, but didn't deny it. The life insurance, the house in Portland, the joint bank account. When did you set all that up? Rebecca opened the account in October, before the accident. We were going to use it for after I was dead, after the funeral, after you'd cashed in my life insurance and sold my house and taken my daughter to Maine to play family. David was crying now too. I never wanted you to get hurt. You have to believe me. When the accident happened, I was terrified. You're my best friend, Mike. You're my brother. Brothers don't fuck each other's wives. The words were like a slap. David physically recoiled. You were my best man, I continued, voice still calm, still controlled. You stood next to me at my wedding and watched me make vows, for better or worse, in sickness and in health. You heard me promise to love Rebecca forever. Mike! And you were planning to take my place before my body was cold. David stood up. I can't do this. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. But I can't. Sit down. No. He backed toward the door. I'm leaving. You want to sue me? Fine. You want full custody? Fine. Whatever you want. But I can't sit here and... He ran. The door slammed behind him. I sat there staring at the voice recorder still running on the table. Rebecca was curled in her chair, sobbing into her hands. Did you love me? I asked. At the wedding, when you said your vows. Did you mean them? She looked up, face destroyed. Yes. When did that change? I don't know. Slowly, over time. We grew apart, Michael. You were always working, always stressed, always... So you filled the space with David? She didn't answer, didn't need to. The house, the money, the plans. All of it happened while I was in a coma, Rebecca. While I was fighting to survive, you were shopping for beach houses. You weren't supposed to wake up. The words came out broken, raw. The doctor said 15%. Everyone said to prepare for the worst. And I thought maybe this was the universe telling us that it was okay to steal my life. She covered her face again. Upstairs, Emma's door opened, small footsteps in the hallway. Is Uncle David gone? Her voice was small, scared. Rebecca stood up fast, wiping her face. Yes, honey, he had to leave. Emma appeared at the top of the stairs. Why is everyone crying? Adult stuff, baby. Rebecca's voice was shaking. Nothing for you to worry about. Emma looked at me. Daddy, are you okay? I'm okay, sweetheart. Come here. She came down slowly, watching her mother, sensing something broken. I pulled her into my lap. She fit perfectly there, small and warm and mine. Emma, I want you to know something, I said. No matter what happens with grown-up stuff, Daddy loves you more than anything in the whole world, okay? Okay. She hugged me tight. I love you too, Daddy. Over her head, I looked at Rebecca. We're done talking tonight. You'll sleep in the guest room. Tomorrow, we'll figure out next steps. But tonight, I'm putting Emma to bed, and you're going to stay away from us. Rebecca opened her mouth to protest. Or I'll pack Emma up right now and take her to my father's house. Your choice. She closed her mouth, nodded. I carried Emma upstairs, read her 2 stories, tucked her in with her stuffed rabbit. Daddy, is everything going to be okay? I brushed hair from her forehead. I'm going to make sure of it, baby. Promise? Promise. She fell asleep, holding my hand. I stayed until her breathing was deep and steady. Then I went downstairs. Rebecca was gone. Her car had left the driveway. On the kitchen table, she'd left a note. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted any of this. But I can't change it. I can't take it back. I don't know how to make this right. I crumpled the note. She was right about one thing. She couldn't make this right, but I could make sure she faced consequences. I called my father. Get me the best divorce attorney in Connecticut, someone who specializes in custody cases. And Dad, tell them to prepare for war. The attorney my father hired was named Margaret Sullivan. She was 52, Harvard Law, specialized in high conflict custody cases. She'd been practicing family law for 26 years and had a reputation for being ruthless when children were involved. We met in her office 3 days after I came home from the hospital. Mr. Carter, I've reviewed everything your father sent me. She had the evidence spread across her conference table. Bank statements, voice recordings, photos, the real estate contract, David's card. This is one of the most clear-cut cases of marital misconduct I've seen in my career. Clear-cut good or clear-cut bad? Clear-cut winnable. Your wife documented her own betrayal. Most people are smart enough to hide affairs. She practically left a trail of breadcrumbs. She pulled out a legal pad, started making notes. Here's what we're looking at. Connecticut is a no-fault divorce state, but fault still matters for custody and asset division. We can prove adultery, financial misconduct, abandonment during medical crisis, and this is key, parental alienation. Parental alienation? Your daughter's drawing, the one where you're in heaven. Your wife told Emma you were dying, prepared her for life without you, while you were still alive. That's psychological harm to a child. Margaret tapped her pen on the pad. We're going to file for divorce and emergency custody. Full physical custody to you, supervised visitation for Rebecca until she completes a parenting evaluation. We'll also file a restraining order against David. No contact with Emma. Can we do that? He's not family. He has no legal relationship to your daughter. And given the circumstances, the affair, the financial conspiracy, the recordings, yes, a judge will grant it. She slid a document across the table. This is a petition to freeze all joint assets. She can't touch the bank accounts, can't sell the house, can't make any major financial decisions without court approval. We file this today. I signed it. What about her real estate license? Margaret smiled. It wasn't kind. I'm going to contact the Connecticut Real Estate Commission. Forging a power of attorney, listing a property without proper authorization, using insider knowledge to defraud a spouse. Those are serious ethical violations. She'll be lucky if she's only suspended. And David? He's a trickier target. He didn't break any laws, technically. But if your wife tries to claim you were absent or neglectful during the marriage, we have evidence of her affair partner visiting your home, spending time with your daughter, essentially playing house. That destroys any sympathy argument. She pulled out Emma's iPad. These recordings are gold. Your daughter's innocent voice describing the affair, the planning, the conspiracy. No jury would side with your wife after hearing these. But Michael, I need to ask, are you prepared for how ugly this will get? Ugly how? Rebecca will fight. When people are caught, they get desperate. She'll claim you were emotionally distant, that she was lonely, that the affair was a symptom of a broken marriage. Her lawyer will try to paint her as a victim. She's not the victim. I know, but she'll try. And she'll try to use Emma, might claim you're poisoning Emma against her, might fight for 50-50 custody just to avoid child support. Margaret leaned forward. I need you to be calm. Document everything. Every interaction with Rebecca, record it. Every text, save it. Every time she's late for pickup or misses a call with Emma, note it. We're building a pattern of behavior. I can do that. Good, because we're not just winning this divorce. We're making sure Emma stays safe. That's the only thing that matters. We filed on November 1st. Rebecca was served at work. The process server found her showing a house to clients in West Hartford, handed her the divorce petition, custody filing, asset freeze, and restraining order against David in front of her buyers. She called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. Finally, she showed up at the house at 9:12 p.m. I'd been expecting this, had my phone recording in my pocket. You can't do this. She was shaking, furious. You can't take Emma from me. I'm not taking Emma. I'm protecting her. Protecting her from what? From her mother? From a mother who was planning to move her to Maine with your affair partner while her father was in a coma. I have recordings, Rebecca. Your voice, David's voice, Emma's voice describing everything. A judge is going to hear those recordings. What do you think will happen? She started crying. Not the soft, manipulative crying. Real, panicked sobbing. Please, Michael, please don't do this. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. You were waiting for me to die. The words stopped her. You listed our house while I was in a coma. You drained our bank account. You told our daughter I was going to heaven so she'd be ready when you and David moved her away. I was scared. The doctor said you probably wouldn't wake up. I was trying to survive, to have a plan for Emma if I died. Except your plan included a beach condo and matching wedding rings. Her face crumbled. You want to know where I found your wedding ring, Rebecca? She looked up. In David's car, glove compartment, next to the rental agreement for your beach house. You gave him your wedding ring while I was in the ICU. How did you... Private investigator. Same one who followed you to Portland. Same one who documented you and David holding hands outside the house you tried to buy. The one you told the realtor you were engaged. She sat down on the porch steps, defeated. What do you want? I want full custody. I want the house. I want Emma to grow up, knowing her father fought for her when it mattered. You'll turn her against me. I won't have to. She's 7, Rebecca. She knows something's wrong. She knows Uncle David suddenly disappeared. She knows you're sleeping somewhere else. Kids aren't stupid. Rebecca looked up at me, mascara running down her face. I loved you. I really did, at first. I know. But somewhere along the way, I stopped, and I was too much of a coward to tell you. You were too much of a coward to tell me a lot of things. She stood up slowly. I'll fight you. I'm her mother. The court won't give you full custody just because I had an affair. You're right. They won't give me full custody just because you had an affair. I pulled out my phone, played Emma's voice. Mommy said Daddy's going to heaven soon, so I put you there. Rebecca's face went white. That's parental alienation. That's psychological abuse of a child. That's telling our daughter her father was dying so she'd be ready for your new life. I stopped the recording. Margaret says the court takes that very seriously, especially when combined with financial fraud, forged documents, and conspiracy to defraud a spouse during medical incapacity. You've really thought this through. I had a lot of time to think. 11 days in a coma, 3 days listening to our daughter's voice describing your affair. Rebecca wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. It's not worth much. She walked to her car, stopped halfway. The real estate commission called me today. They're investigating the house listing. They're going to suspend my license. I know. She turned around. You did that. Margaret did that as part of building the case. Turns out forging power of attorney is a serious ethical violation. I'll lose my job. You should have thought about that before you tried to sell my house while I was dying. She got in her car, sat there for a moment staring at the steering wheel. Then she drove away. I stood on the porch watching her taillights disappear. Inside, Emma was asleep, safe, home. That's all that mattered. The custody hearing was set for November 20th. 3 weeks to prepare. 3 weeks of Margaret coaching me, reviewing evidence, preparing testimony. The key is staying calm, she said. Rebecca's lawyer will try to provoke you, make you look angry, unstable. Don't take the bait. What about Emma? Emma won't testify in court. She's too young. But she met with a child psychologist for evaluation. That report will be part of the case. What did it say? Margaret slid the report across her desk. I read it slowly. Emma Carter, age 7, presents as a well-adjusted child with strong attachment to father. When asked about family structure, Emma drew 2 households, one with father, depicted as safe, colorful, happy, and one with mother, depicted as gray, uncertain. When asked about Uncle David, Emma became quiet and said, Mommy told me not to talk about him. Assessment: Emma shows signs of parental coaching and possible loyalty conflict. Child would benefit from stable primary residence with father, therapeutic visitation with mother until trust is rebuilt. This is good, I asked. This is excellent. The psychologist is essentially saying Rebecca coached Emma to lie. That's huge for custody. Margaret pulled out another document. This is Dr. Hughes's statement, the ICU doctor. She documented every visit, every phone call she overheard, every instance of Rebecca's inappropriate behavior. I read it. Mrs. Carter visited 4 times in 11 days. Average visit, 23 minutes. She spent minimal time at bedside, frequently stepped out to make phone calls. On day 10, I overheard her discussing real estate transactions, saying, "We need to move fast before," then stopped when she saw me. On day 7, Mrs. Carter brought a male companion, later identified as David Preston, to the hospital. They did not enter the ICU together, but left together, holding hands in the parking lot. This behavior was inconsistent with that of a grieving spouse. In 28 years of medicine, I have never witnessed a spouse show such calculated indifference to their dying partner's suffering. This was not grief. This was waiting. The final line hit like a punch. "This is going to destroy her in court," Margaret said. "A doctor with nearly 3 decades of experience saying in writing that your wife wasn't grieving. She was waiting for you to die." November 20th arrived. Hartford Family Court, Judge Patricia Mendoza presiding. Rebecca sat on the opposite side of the courtroom with her lawyer, Thomas Grant. He was mid-40s, expensive suit, the kind of lawyer who specialized in making bad people look sympathetic. Margaret stood up for opening statements. "Your Honor, this is a case about betrayal during the most vulnerable moment of a person's life. Michael Carter nearly died in a car accident. While he fought for survival in the ICU, his wife, Rebecca Carter, and his former business partner, David Preston, planned a future together, using Mr. Carter's money, his home, and his daughter. She clicked a remote. The screen behind her lit up with the first exhibit. Emma's iPad. This device contains 11 voice recordings made by the Carters' 7-year-old daughter while her father was in a medically induced coma. These recordings capture Mrs. Carter and Mr. Preston discussing life insurance, real estate transactions, and their plans for after Michael's gone. Margaret played Memo 9. Emma's small voice filled the courtroom. Mommy and Uncle David are talking in the kitchen. Uncle David said, "Once the life insurance clears, we can leave." Mommy said, 2 weeks, maybe 3. Then we're free. Rebecca's lawyer started to object, but Judge Mendoza held up her hand. "I want to hear this." Margaret played 3 more recordings, each one more damning than the last. By the time she was done, the court reporter was crying. "Your Honor, Mrs. Carter didn't just commit adultery. She engaged in financial fraud, forged her husband's signature on legal documents, attempted to sell marital property without authorization, and, most critically, told her 7-year-old daughter that her father was going to die." Margaret pulled up Emma's drawing, the one with me in heaven. "This is parental alienation. This is psychological abuse. Emma Carter drew her father in heaven with angels because her mother told her Daddy was leaving, not might not wake up, not is very sick, told her he was going to die." Judge Mendoza studied the drawing for a long moment. "Mr. Grant, your response?" Thomas Grant stood up, smooth, practiced. "Your Honor, my client made mistakes. She doesn't deny the affair, but this marriage was broken long before the accident. Mr. Carter was emotionally absent, worked 70-hour weeks, left Rebecca alone to raise Emma. The affair was wrong, yes, but it was a symptom of a failing marriage." "A symptom that involved stealing over $100,000? Margaret cut in. "Those were joint accounts. Mrs. Carter had every right while her husband was in a coma. After forging his signature, after opening a separate account with her affair partner." Grant's jaw tightened. Mrs. Carter was preparing for the worst-case scenario. The doctors gave Mr. Carter a 15% survival rate. She was trying to secure Emma's future in case her husband died. Margaret interrupted. "Then why didn't she use that money for Emma's benefit? Why did it go to a joint account with David Preston? Why did she put an offer on a house in Portland while her husband was still on life support?" Grant had no answer. Judge Mendoza turned to Rebecca. "Mrs. Carter, I'd like to hear from you directly." Rebecca stood up. She dressed conservatively, modest dress, minimal makeup, trying to look like a devoted mother. "Your Honor, I made terrible mistakes. I was scared, overwhelmed. I thought Michael was going to die, and I panicked. I never meant to hurt Emma. She's my daughter. I love her." "You told her father was going to heaven." Rebecca's voice cracked. "I was preparing her. The doctors said there was a 15% chance of survival. That's not 0, Mrs. Carter. That's not Daddy's definitely dying. That's Daddy's fighting." Judge Mendoza leaned forward. "Did you fight for him?" Silence. "Did you sit by his bedside? Did you hold his hand? Did you tell your daughter, 'Let's pray for Daddy'? Or did you start planning your new life?" Rebecca was crying now. "I was there 4 times in 11 days. Average visit, 23 minutes, while David Preston, your affair partner, visited 12 times. Judge Mendoza looked at the hospital visitor log. "On day 10, when the doctors said your husband probably wouldn't survive, where were you?" I don't remember." Margaret stood up. "Your Honor, I can answer that. According to credit card records, Mrs. Carter was in Portland, Maine, with David Preston. They looked at 3 properties that day." Rebecca's face went white. "While your husband was dying, you were house hunting with your boyfriend." Judge Mendoza set down the log, looked at Rebecca with something close to disgust. Mrs. Carter, I've presided over family court for 15 years. I've seen adultery, abandonment, neglect, but I have never seen someone plan their new life while their spouse fought for theirs. She turned to the evidence on her screen. The bank statements, the real estate contract, the voice recordings, the drawing, Dr. Hughes's testimony. This isn't a case of a broken marriage. This is a case of a woman who chose her own happiness over her husband's life and her daughter's well-being. Grant tried to interject. Your Honor, with respect? I'm not done, Mr. Grant. Judge Mendoza pulled up the Connecticut Real Estate Commission report. Mrs. Carter, are you aware that the Real Estate Commission has suspended your license pending investigation? Yes. For forging your husband's signature, for attempting to sell marital property without authorization, for ethical violations that constitute fraud. Rebecca nodded, unable to speak. How do you plan to support Emma if you lose your income? I'll find other work. Will David Preston be contributing to that support? Silence. Let me be clear, Mrs. Carter. Your relationship with Mr. Preston is directly relevant to this case. You used marital funds to support that relationship. You opened a joint account with him. You plan to relocate your daughter to facilitate that relationship. So I'll ask again. Will David Preston be contributing to Emma's support? We're not together anymore. The courtroom was dead silent. When did that relationship end? 2 weeks ago, after Michael filed for divorce. David said he couldn't handle the pressure. He filed for divorce from his own wife, and then he left. Margaret looked at me. We'd known this. The private investigator had reported that David had moved to Florida, left his job, essentially fled the state. So the man you destroyed your marriage for abandoned you when things got difficult. Rebecca was sobbing now, full, ugly crying. Mrs. Carter, you made choices, terrible choices, choices that prioritized your desires over your daughter's stability, choices that showed a fundamental lack of judgment and character. Judge Mendoza looked at Emma's victim impact letter, the one written with the child psychologist. I'm going to read this. It was written by Emma Carter, age 7, with the help of her therapist. The courtroom went silent. My name is Emma. My daddy got hurt and had to sleep in the hospital. I made voice memos for him so he could hear my voice. I didn't know Mommy and Uncle David were talking about moving away. I didn't want to move away. I wanted Daddy to wake up. When Daddy woke up, I was so happy. But Mommy was scared. I don't know why. Now Uncle David is gone and Mommy cries a lot. I want to live with Daddy. Daddy keeps his promises. Judge Mendoza set down the letter. Daddy keeps his promises. She looked at me. Mr. Carter, you woke up from a coma and immediately fought for your daughter. You documented evidence. You protected Emma from the chaos of your disintegrating marriage. You've maintained stable housing and employment. You've done everything right. She turned to Rebecca. Mrs. Carter, you did everything wrong, and now you'll face the consequences. Judge Mendoza adjusted her glasses. I'm granting primary physical custody to Michael Carter. Rebecca Carter will have supervised visitation every other weekend until she completes a parenting course and psychological evaluation. She will not introduce Emma to any romantic partners without court approval. She will pay child support based on imputed income since she no longer has employment. Rebecca's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, we'd like to request... I'm not done, Mr. Grant. Judge Mendoza pulled up the asset division. The marital home goes to Mr. Carter. Mrs. Carter will reimburse the joint account for the $110,000 she transferred without authorization. She will pay Mr. Carter's legal fees, and she will be permanently enjoined from selling, transferring, or encumbering any marital asset without written consent. She closed the file. Mrs. Carter, your actions during your husband's medical crisis demonstrate not just marital betrayal, but a profound failure of character. You didn't just cheat. You planned. You plotted. You used your daughter as a pawn. And you did it all while your husband fought for his life. Judge Mendoza's voice was ice. This court finds that Emma Carter's best interests are served by living primarily with her father. Supervised visitation will continue until Mrs. Carter can demonstrate that she can put Emma's needs before her own. If she cannot, this court will have no choice but to restrict her access further. She banged the gavel. We're adjourned. 6 months later. It was a Saturday morning in May, early. The kind of spring morning where the air smells like cut grass and possibility. Emma and I were in the kitchen making pancakes. "Daddy, this one looks like a blob." I looked at the pancake in question. She was right. It looked like a blob. "That's a artistic blob. Very abstract." She giggled. "You're supposed to make it look like a bunny." "Bunnies are blobs, small fuzzy blobs with ears." She rolled her eyes. 7, going on 17. We'd started this tradition about 3 months ago. Saturday morning pancakes, just the two of us. She'd pick the shape, usually animals, sometimes letters, once a surprisingly detailed unicorn, and I'd attempt to make it happen. I was terrible at it. She loved it anyway. "Flip it," she commanded. I flipped the blob bunny. It broke in half. "Daddy, that's a bunny in 2 pieces like it's hopping." She laughed so hard she snorted. That sound, pure, unfiltered joy, was worth everything. The past 6 months hadn't been easy. Rebecca had completed her parenting course, passed her psychological evaluation. She saw Emma every other weekend now, unsupervised. The visits were awkward but improving. Emma was in therapy, working through the confusion and hurt. David had moved to Florida, didn't contact me, didn't contact Rebecca, just disappeared. His wife had gotten the house in their divorce. His reputation in the tech industry was destroyed. Word spread fast about what he'd done. Rebecca was working retail at a department store, living with her parents. Her real estate license was suspended for 2 years. She'd lost her career, her reputation, her financial security. I'd asked Margaret once if I felt guilty about that. "No," I'd said. "She chose this. Every step of the way, she chose it." Emma finished her pancake, got down from her chair, and hugged me around the waist. "I love Saturday mornings, Daddy." "Me too, baby girl." "Ms. Patterson gave us a new assignment." "Yeah? What's that?" "We have to write about heroes, like people who are brave or strong or help people." "That's a good assignment." She looked up at me. Can I write about you?" The question caught me off guard. "Why me?" "Because you woke up from being asleep forever, and you came home, and you kept your promise." "What promise?" "You said you'd never leave me, and you didn't." My chest felt tight. "You can write about us, sweetheart. We saved each other." She grinned, ran to get her backpack. I stood in the kitchen looking around at our house, our life. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. A few weeks ago, I'd been going through boxes in the garage. Found the wedding album, Rebecca and I, young and hopeful, making promises we thought would last forever. I'd thrown most of it away, but I'd kept one photo, the two of us at the altar, not because I missed her, not because I wanted that life back, because it reminded me that sometimes the promises we make aren't the ones we keep. And that's okay. The promises that matter are the ones we make to the people who depend on us. That afternoon, Emma and I planted a tree in the backyard. "What kind of tree is it?" she asked, helping me dig. "Japanese maple. It'll have red leaves in the fall. Bright red, like fire." "Cool." We worked together, filling in dirt around the roots. She was wearing her purple unicorn shirt, covered in mud. "Why are we planting it here?" "Because it'll grow with you. Every year it'll get bigger and stronger, like you." She smiled at that. When we were done, I reached into my pocket, pulled out a small envelope. "I have something to bury here, like a time capsule." "What is it?" Inside the envelope was my wedding ring. I'd taken it off last month, put it away, wasn't sure what to do with it. Now I knew. "It's something from before, something that doesn't fit anymore." I dug a small hole near the tree roots, placed the envelope inside, covered it with dirt. When this tree grows, the roots will take all that old stuff and turn it into something new, something alive. Emma nodded solemnly. Like fertilizer. Exactly like fertilizer. We patted down the dirt, watered the tree. Emma stood back, hands on her hips. It's small now. Give it time. Things that are worth having take time to grow. Like me? Like you. We went inside to clean up. As Emma ran upstairs to change, I stood at the kitchen window looking out at the small tree, for better or worse, in sickness and in health. I'd kept those promises, even when my wife hadn't. And now I was making new promises, to Emma, to myself. Promises about showing up, about choosing people who choose you back, about building a life that doesn't require secrets or lies. Emma came downstairs, clean and changed. Daddy, can I read you my hero essay? Of course. She pulled out her notebook, sat beside me on the couch. My Hero by Emma Carter. She cleared her throat. My hero is my daddy. When he was very sick, I was scared. I made voice memos on my iPad so he could hear my voice. I didn't know it would help him, but it did. When Daddy woke up, he came home and he kept his promise. He said he would never leave me. Heroes keep their promises. Heroes protect people. Heroes make pancakes on Saturday mornings, even when they don't look like bunnies. My daddy is my hero because when things were really hard, he saved me. And I think I saved him too. She looked up. Is that good? I couldn't speak for a moment. It's perfect, sweetheart. Ms. Patterson says we have to share them with the class next week. You're going to do great. She hugged me, small and warm and mine. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Emma, more than anything. That evening, after Emma was asleep, I sat on the back porch with a beer. The maple tree was just a sapling, but in a few years, it would shade the yard. In 10 years, Emma could climb it. In 20 years, when she brought her own kids over, she'd point to it and say, "That's the tree my dad and I planted." And the ring buried in its roots would be long gone, broken down, transformed into something that helped the tree grow. That's what I wanted. Not revenge, not bitterness, just growth. New life. Moving forward. My phone buzzed. Text from Margaret. Final papers signed. Divorce is official. Congratulations. You're free. Free. I looked out at the yard, the tree, the house where Emma slept safely upstairs. Yeah, I was free. For better or worse, we choose who deserves our loyalty. That's what I'd told Emma as we planted the tree. Not the wedding vows, not the promises that got broken, the new promise.